a minute since I've been on, I've had exams, I'm in London, I've been touristing, my friend came, we had a great time, and it's just time to get back into the groove of things. So, yeah, today we're gonna talk a little bit about water, H2O flow, H2O, yeah, right? So, what I wanted to come on camera and talk about is something that's really close to me. Like everybody knows, like water is my thing. I'm already an environmental. I'm already an environmentalist, but like water, yes, that's my feel right there. Love it too bad, right? And what I wanted to touch on the fact is that there are people out there suffering. There are people out there that lack physical access to water. So that is their water scarce countries out there, water scarce cities, which means that the demand just cannot be met, right? And there's physical water scarcity, which is lack of actual water, and then there's economic water scarcity, and that is the inability of institutions to provide a regular supply of water because of poor infrastructure and whatnot. And now this infrastructure could be destroyed during, natural disasters or during times of political conflict or war and whatnot, right? So let's just get those two terms out of the way so you know what I'm talking about when I mention water scarcity, right? Now, for me, my biggest concern about water growing up or just in general was that how long would it take for the hot water to come on? Now think about how spoiled and how privileged I am that is my biggest problem. I would go to bed and be like, why is this water taking so long to get hot? But there are people who can't even go to bed. And for a long time, I did not even think about that. I didn't even know, I didn't even process. It wasn't my reality, so therefore technically it just didn't exist. Like, what? Everybody have water, nobody's suffering in the world. And it's only until I started doing environmental science when I realized, wow. Now, yes, I've heard of poverty and whatnot, but it's not that I'm being ignorant. It's just that in a country where water is everywhere, like there's a river somewhere, if you don't have running water in your pipe, you could go to a river and bathe River Lime, you could go to the beach, you could go somewhere. But for some people, or even better, you could call the fire services or call your person and order water from a water truck, right? So it's just like there was always a means to access water. And then to think that for so many people in this world who just can't access water, I find that that's so scary. Because think about it, you need water for every single thing. You need water to bathe, you need water to wash your hands, you need water to clean, you need water to flush the toilet. Every little thing. Like, I hate when my hands get sticky. I must go and wash it. I probably waste water washing my hands, and that's just a little problem I have, and whatnot. But it's so scary. I truly find it's the scariest thing, waking up one day and just not having access to water. Now, where I'm from in Trinidad, yes, we've had like water shortages. So what we will do is like the wet soap and rinse. That's what my family call it. So literally, when we go in the shower, we just we soap our skin, we rinse, and we're out. So it's like a 2-minute bath, if so long, right? And that's just times when the water shortage, when we have water shortage issues. But at the end of the day, we still know that water is coming. And I think that's a problem with plenty of people. Like we understand that water is coming from somewhere, but where is this water coming from, and how is it that water can come for us but water can't come for others? You know what I mean? So I think we really need to look around at the world, because at this stage people living in bubbles. I was living in a bubble, right? And because this issue is not affecting us personally, we tend to turn a blind eye to it. But I don't think that that's right, especially when there's so much people suffering. Women, children, men, old people, everyone is suffering from this, right? And think about it, if you don't have water, then your sanitary conditions and the illnesses and the diseases that out there, you know. So we can't just sit back and scratch and live life like normal. Now, I'm not saying yes to put on a cape and go out there and save the world and provide everyone with water. No, that's impossible. But what we can do is like raise awareness. We can empathize. We can try and find ways, try and find solutions. Just don't sit around and do nothing, because I think that that's the worst thing ever. Now, I went to the World Water Forum in Brazil underneath the World Youth Parliament for water. And I met this young lady from Guatemala.
Hello, my name is Marley. I am from the hamlet of Panimatin, Guatemala. I am 19 years old. Today I want to tell you my story, why I started to work with water. The reason I started to work with water in my community was because my experience since I was a kid, it was that I go with my sisters and friends to the ravines to get some liters of waters. So last year it was the hardest dry season in my community, because we didn't have the watersheds anymore where we can get the water. So that's why I started to work in my community with girls, especially because we are in charge to get water from the ravines. One day of the last year, I was crying in my kitchen looking for some liters of water, and I didn't find it because we didn't have like the place where we can get some liters of water. That's why I think about how can I do for my community, or what can I do. So I started with this idea to implement or to make a project in my community with water, and especially try to change, hoping to change the girls' mind.
And she was telling us that they go to the rivers, they fill their buckets and whatnot, and they come home, and that's how they use water, right? That's how they get water, sorry, and stuff. And one day she was eating and she went to wash the dishes, and she was looking around and there was just no water stored anywhere in the house anymore. And then she was like, what? And then went to the rivers were dry. She came back home and she just sat down and she just cried because there was just no water. And I was just like, when she told us that story, I cried, because I was just like, wow, again, I'm so privileged. I am so spoiled. I am just out here living my best life, turning a blind eye to the people out there that's literally suffering. Our next example was in Brazil with one of the indigenous communities, you know. The government of Brazil has been taking over their land and whatnot, cutting off their water supply. There was springs and, you know, streams running through their lands and whatnot. Now everything is just completely dried up. And a 19-year-old boy woke up in the middle of the night to find the military on their property and whatnot, and stood up there and said, no, you need to move, you know, this is our land. And he was moved by a tractor. Can you fathom this? What? I was just shook, like wow. And this is some of the, you know, the fights that some of the indigenous communities have to go through to keep their resources, land, water, food and whatnot. And it's just wow, you know, it's mind-blowing. But there are a number of reasons for water scarcity or water stress situations, but I think the biggest issue right now is the fact that yes, the population is growing at an alarming rate and whatnot, but it's also the way in which we use the resources, especially in some of the developed nations or even developing nations where we're spoiled. You know, we out here doing our own thing. 3-4 baths, each bath is 20 minutes long, whatnot. We living our best lives. Who's standing up outside washing down the yard every morning and every evening? You're washing your car every day. You know, that kind of lifestyle, that's, I wouldn't call that very sustainable, right? And then we have things like pollution. Now, we have the water resources available, but when it's so polluted with either plastics or industrial waste or domestic waste like sewer and whatnot, then it's going to cost a lot of money to make this water clean and safe for us to drink. And I don't think we realize that, because for a lot of us, we turn a tap and water is flowing, but we don't realize that this water comes from the freshwater sources, so like your rivers, your groundwater and stuff like that. And once this becomes contaminated, it has to be clean, and it has to be clean for us to use, so that it can be safe. And that's costly. This is something that is very, very, very costly. And also, apart from pollution, you have things like climate change. The climate change, you know, our weather patterns are changing and whatnot. We're seeing longer periods of drought. Like in the Caribbean, for example, we're seeing longer and more intense dry seasons and whatnot, you know. So it's just like our rainfall, our availability to restore our groundwater and freshwater supply is starting to become threatened. There are also issues of saltwater intrusion, you know. So I think we need to open our eyes and look at our brothers and sisters and the issues facing the world. And water is a huge one, because literally water is life. Without water, we will all die, for sure, without question. That's not a doubt. We will all die. So yeah, I think, yeah, you know, do this video was just like an introductory thing into water. You know, do your research, look things up, just open your mind, get out there. We can't continue to live like how we're living right now. There's so many countries with water scarce conditions. Look up Cape Town. Cape Town situation is bizarre. That is scary to me. There's Cape Town, there's Sao Paulo, there's Yemen, and you know, there's some countries in Africa, like Somalia and stuff, for example, and their biggest issue is the wars that's taking place, that's putting stress on providing citizens with resources like water and food, you know. So yeah, just wanted to give you a little introduction into water scarcity and whatnot. Not trying to scare you or anything, but just raise awareness. And we need to open our eyes. We need to look out for our brothers and sisters. Yeah, we have plenty more videos to come talking about water and water related issues. You know, I'm going to talk about groundwater, fresh water, where water comes from, the water cycle. It's going to be a whole water series. So yeah, we're going to discuss more on water scarcity and how some countries are tackling water shortage issues. You know, some of the other issues countries are facing. Our activities on land affect water. So I'm gonna talk about us humans. I'm gonna talk about our anthropogenic activities. I'm gonna talk about climate change. I'm gonna talk about the energy and water nexus, the food and water nexus, because one of the biggest users of water is agriculture. But guess what? We also need food to survive, right? So yeah, that's a little bit of a issue, but we're gonna get into that as well. And I'm gonna mention the corporations out there, stuff like Nestle, Coca-Cola, all those people out there, and the activities that is taking place in some developing countries like India, for example, and how the citizens are fighting with some of these major corporations for their water supply, you know. So yeah, it's gonna be a waterific time. Yeah, I just said that. Okay, forget I said that, but yeah, it's gonna be a good time. We're gonna discuss water in more detail. So stick around for our next Eco Chit Chat, you know. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. And yeah, if you like what you see, leave a thumbs up. Give me a little comment. Oh, comment. What the hell is a comment? Give me a little comment. You know, tell me what you want to know about in relation to water. I can answer your questions. Trust me, I can answer them. And if not, I will go and I will do the research and I will find the answers for you. But yeah, leave a comment down below. Let me know anything that you want me to talk about. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye. I'm so weird sometimes. I small thing. But yes. Oh, one thing. When you're bathing today, try your best and cut down the time in the shower. I know the water does feel nice, trust me. Nothing does relax me more than a nice hot long shower. But I try to remember not to waste the resource just because I have an abundance of it. Okay? So yeah, try and do the same thing. Okay? Bye! Thanks for watching.